Hello and welcome to our another session of marketing management part 1. We are discussing the fourth module of this course, that is buyer behavior, and we started discussing about industrial buyer behavior, where we started discussing the major differences between B2B markets vis-a-vis probably B2C market, and this is after once we have discussed in detail about the consumer behavior from the B2C markets. So, what we have discussed in the previous session was what is industrial marketing, or how basically the products should be defined, whether they are B2B products vis-a-vis B2C products. So, we have looked into the criteria that instead of product being itself labeled as a B2B product or B2C product, we should look into the type of customers being served and its uses. So, that should be the criteria of judging whether the product is a B2B or B2C. I discussed with you some of the examples that explain that this concept of customer being served and the kind of uses. Then we have looked into the differences, like who are the customers, in the sense in B2B market you will see that products are purchased for going into the production processes of the customers, while in B2C market it is the individual or the at max family as a unit which is required the product. The size of B2B market is much larger than B2C markets. Then we have looked into the different type of products or the different type of offerings which are being present in the B2B markets. So, we discussed about heavy equipment, light equipment, integrated solutions or the system selling. Then we looked into the raw materials, we have looked into the process materials, we have looked into the consumables, we have looked into the components, and then we also discussed about the industrial services. Then we started discussing about the B2B market difference versus B2C market difference in terms of these two linkages between the customer and the marketing and sales, and the marketing and sales and the operations. So, this is basically these are some of the differences we have discussed, we started discussing, which we will discuss today in depth, is that complex buying process, fewer customers, derived demand, geographical concentration. This is coming from the interface between customer and the marketing, and then you have differences coming from the technology sales, customized solution and make to order from the internal interface. So, going into the in depth of this external face that distinguishes B2B market vis-a-vis B2C market, is that one of the most important thing to understand is B2B buying is B2B selling is far more complex than B2C selling. And why it is far more complex is that you have a formal organization in place which is your customer instead of a individual consumer or the customer. So, any organization which is purchasing a product or services, you will see that all the organizations have their formal procurement policies, and there are basically professionals who are involved in this formal procurement process. They are abided by the organizational procurement policy, and they have to also conform with the organizational or the corporate policies. So, because of the different influences and because of the policy, and also basically the nature of the purchase or the risk attached with the purchase, makes it a bit complex process. Then you will see that some of the criteria that differentiate this B2B buying versus B2C buying is that time, expense, rational decision making and experience. In the sense B2B, take the example of, in fact it is better to understand it by an example, that when you want to purchase a laptop, supposedly you want to purchase a laptop from Dell, what will you do? You will probably go to a Dell's online website and or any other website which is offering, or probably you go to an infometry, you first find out the information about the product, and then once you have basically fixed your choice that you are going to purchase any particular brand of laptop, supposedly in this case if I want to purchase a Dell Latitude, a particular model, I will go on the website of Dell, and Dell allows me to customize the product. So, I will customize the product as per my requirement and I can order it online, and maybe couple of days I will get the delivery. On the other side, if we take the case of an organization where I am working, or you are working, or someone else is working, and if they want to have a laptop for their employees, what will be the purchasing process? So, first you will see that there will be a proper need assessment, and then the product attribute or product specification will be created. Technical people will give their inputs to find out basically what is the exact requirements, and then they will also talk about the plus and minuses about the different offerings or the different brands. And then you will see that after that is being done, organizational procedures will be followed for quotation from the different suppliers or the different distributors, and then those different quotations will be analyzed. And while this analysis is going on, you will see that many people will be involved. So, there will be people on the technical side, there will be people from the commercial side, all of them will get involved in this finalization of the basically the purchase. So, you will see that how complex it is compared to when you have to purchase individually. You can make your decision all alone and you can get the delivery possibly in few days. On the other side, here you will see that it might take months to get the product finalized and being ordered, and then delivery will happen. Obviously, the same laptop which you purchase online for yourself, and when you purchase it through basically an organization, will have different after sales service policies, and all the different kind of features will be attached with that product. Another thing is that influences the B2B buying is that the strategic importance of the item being purchased, because a product, a small component might be going in a plant, and it might be a critical component that can influence significantly the operations of an organization, and in turn probably have an adverse effect on the profitability of the organization. You will understand that because of these concern, the products, the customers are involved much more, and the information processing is much more intense as compared to probably B2C markets. That does not mean that people do not analyze or process the information in B2C market that seriously. However, you will see that because of the expertise about the different products from the different functions of the organization, probably the information processing is much more in depth. The cost of the item being purchased. So, another thing that influences this purchase process is that if you are purchasing a plant or probably a big machinery, because for next couple of year you will remain invested in that plant or the machinery, you will see that and the kind of investment in terms of the money you will make, you will find out that options will be evaluated or scrutinized in a much more critical way. The complexity of need being serviced, that is another thing, that products being purchased with a different kind of, or probably the need will have a different set of requirements. It will have a technical requirements, it will have after sales service requirement, it will have commercial requirements. So, some of these things you will see that what we are discussing have a very far more profound influence on this buying process, and that makes the B2B buying much more complex. Because of all these things, you will also see that in B2B the buyer and the seller relationship is much more close. You see, when you purchase a shampoo from P&G or HUL, or probably any other offering for sake, you will see that no marketing manager in P&G will or HUL will know who are its customers, but it is quite common in B2B market that the marketing manager or the sales manager of a seller will know their buyers on their fingertips. If we talk about the supposedly the offering from this commercial planes, so probably the managers in Boeing or Airbus or probably there are very few supplier to that kind of offering. You will find out they understand their customers pretty well, and then they know their customers pretty well, and this relationship is quite one to one as compared to B2C, where you have millions or billions of customers for your product. So, you cannot know them. On the other side, the customers are very few in B2B markets, and also because the items being purchased are of strategic importance, and the cost of the products could also be pretty high. So, the perceived risk is also very high. So, you will see that this process is very complex. Then we have another aspect of differentiation between B2C versus B2B is that in B2B market the demand is basically derived. So, I have given you a example of this on this slide, that ABS for dashboard. If you see all this automotive components, the flashy painted components on the automotive are for say on many of this plastic body parts which are painted and they have a very good shiny finish. They are made from this plastics called acrylonitrile butadiene styrene. You will see that company that makes ABS will probably that company which makes the raw material for ABS. Their demand is dependent on the demand of the automobiles product, the demand of the cabinets of some of the other electrical appliances or electronic products, where the ABS is getting consumed. So, the company which is making acrylonitrile or butadiene or probably styrene or even on the back side of that production process, a company which is making the raw material for styrene or butadiene or acrylonitrile, their demand is dependent on the demand of the automobile industry, and likewise many other industries where this ABS is getting consumed. So, the demand is not direct, rather it is a derived demand, and because it is a derived demand, you will also see that so the demands are basically inelastic in the nature in B2B markets. Like tomorrow if the prices of leather increases, that will not make a shoemaking company to stop its production process, or probably there will be much of the change in its number of product being produced, because in the short run anyway, because of their investment in the plant and all that, they cannot make the changes so fast. It may happen that in the long run they will look for the substitute and will try to have a alternate which is less in terms of the cost, but that might not always be possible. Another aspect which differentiate the B2B market versus B2C market is that concentrated customer base, that geographical concentration is something which is talked a lot about B2B market when we look at with respect to B2C market. I will again take you to the example of a shampoo being offered from a P&G or HUL. Who are its customer and how they are distributed? You see a shampoo offering by any of these company, they will the marketing manager will take proud in saying that across India we have pan India presence, and from Ladakh to probably Kanyakumari people are using the shampoo from us. So, that is basically the kind of dispersion of the customers across the geography of the country. On the other side, if we look at the concentration of the automobile manufacturers or probably the textile industries or probably any other type of industry, we will see that the customers or the manufacturers are situated only in the certain part of the country. So, for the sake automobile industry might be just be placed in only around Pune, Nasik and nearby this Gurgaon belt, and then probably on the south you have around that Chennai and nearby side, and maybe some other places like Uttarakhand also. So, you will have only 4 or 5 places where the entire automotive industry of the country is situated and is probably concentrated, and you will also see because of this kind of customer concentration, lot of suppliers are also basically putting their plants, or they have their manufacturing capacities nearby to these plants, so that they can serve their customers in probably in a very short time, and the cost of transportation is also very less, and this because of the physical proximity they remain in close contact with their customers, that help them in serving their customer needs better. Then we talk about the internal interface, the differentiation in B2B market with respect to B2C market in terms of the internal interface. The first and the far most important thing that comes into the picture is that role of technology in B2B sales. You will see that in B2B buying, which is also believed to be a rational buying, because the people are buying it for the organization, and the stakes are generally high, and their performance is also evaluated being on their purchases. So, generally these are believed to be, at least theoretically they are believed to be rational buying process. Now, you will see that role of technology in B2B sales is very high, because technical criteria will be given lot of importance in the purchasing requirement, and the supplier in fact who does better on those technical factors will be given probably more preference than who do not do well on those criteria. So, technology is far more visible than B2C market, and customers in business to customer market generally do not care about what is the technology inside, but in business market you will understand that the purchasing managers or the production people, they will ask you as a basically a seller that what is the technology which is there inside the product, what is the product technology, what is the production technology, and how they are different from the competitors technology. So, what is the advantage of those technologies? So, that makes basically the role of the technology is far more important in B2B market. And one thing which you will observe in B2B market is that companies keep on improving their previous generation of product, and they keep on launching the improved product. So, it should not be of surprise to you that you see continuously coming the sellers be offering you basically improved version of their product, because they get competitive advantage and the price premium for offering this kind of thing. On the other side, you will also notice that sometimes in B2C market this continuous improvement in the product or the change in product may work against the consumer requirement or the consumer hedonic needs, where probably consumer like to have the same thing over the period of time. If you get basically a different type of Coke, you may not prefer that. So, in that aspect basically B2B market is different from B2C market. Then you see also that the customization of the product is very prominent in B2B offering as compared to B2C offering. B2B requirements are very fixed, B2C requirements are not that rigid. Take the example, supposedly if you are planning to have a car and you go to your dealer's place, and when you are discussing with your spouse about which car you want to purchase, you have fixed the brand and you have also fixed the color of the car. But when you went to a dealer's place, it is a festive season and you may not get that color. So, but you are very sure that you want only that make of the car or only probably a particular basically type of offering from a seller. Generally it is seen that people will not leave the product or will not change the brand just because a certain feature or a color is not available. You may probably say that okay, this color is not available, I will go with this one. So, you have basically a fallback plan in place. In fact, I would say in case you do not get what you desire. However, take the example of a company which is into a chemical company or petrochemical company which is into the manufacturing of polymers or probably elastomers or a different kind of chemicals, and they want basically a certain type of valve for their processes. Procurement manager cannot go to the place or probably cannot go to a seller and he can ask a different type of valve, because your plant, by design of the plant, your requirements are fixed, and if a seller cannot offer you exactly the same type of design or the same type of offering as per your plant design needs, you cannot take that product. So, because of the technical requirements, you will see that your requirements are very inflexible in B2B market, and that is where a lot of customization is also required as per the customer's need. Another aspect which is very important in B2B market is that because the amount of or the quantity of the product being purchased by certain customers, the sellers generally have a dedicated facilities for certain customers or the key customers. So, when you go and see some of these ancillaries of or the component manufacturer of these automobile companies, you will find out something which you will observe is that the manufacturers have dedicated facility for some of the automobile companies, and those facilities inside their entire manufacturing unit will only serve the requirements of those customers, because the requirements are huge, and because of continuous orders that you get, and in turn basically that is a quite profitable business for you, you will like to share dedicate your facilities for such kind of customers. So, that is basically something which differentiate it from B2C market. The last thing that I will talk about which differentiate B2B market versus B2C market is that since you have seen the kind of products which are being required by the customers, they are heavy in terms of the investment, they require time in the sense to produce. So, you will see that this is a sort of make to order kind of thing. When you want a shampoo, you go to basically a retail shop, just tell him that what brand you want, and the seller will offer. However, if you go to a manufacturer, a seller of a plant or probably a big type of a processor, a server or probably a generator or the basically compressor, it may happen that seller will first take your requirements, he will take the orders. Once you confirm the order, he will go back, manufacture the product as per your requirement and deliver it. So, you will see that you may not have the instantaneous supply available like probably which is available in the B2C market. So, these are some of the key differences in B2B market vis-a-vis probably with respect to business to consumer market, and I will end this session here. When we will meet into the next session, we will discuss further about B2B buying process. Thank you very much.